ごく悪いヴィランが僕らを狙ってるんだと思った。花ちゃんが崩れたのも。揺らいだ世界で揺るがない。
Hi everyone, I'm going to react to My Hero Academia Season 5, Episode 23, Tenko Shimura Origin. Remember in one of Shigaraki's flashback, Tenko's Shigaraki's name, right? Because I feel like there was a little girl that called him that name in one of his flashbacks. If it's Shigaraki's origin, I'm looking forward to that. So last episode was the Sad Man's Parade, and Twice was able to overcome his mental break. You know, the fact that he wasn't sure if he was the original person, I guess, and it happened after they broke his arm, and then he felt like, okay, I'm the real one. And then this Sadman parade happened, and then they went and tried to save what's his name, the dude that was kidnapped, and then the boss was there, and then they started fighting, and the clone of Shigaraki was the only one that was alive, and he said that he saw the real Shigaraki come in and told Twice to protect Giran, I think that was his name. And then Shigaraki just like crumbled the tower where they were. And now the boss was like, Destro was like, now I guess ask you the same question that I asked your fake clone or something or other like that. And we saw a little bit, you know, as I was editing that episode, my reaction to that episode, I was under the impression, before I started editing, I was under the impression that the story that Redestro was telling was of his birth, but it wasn't until I started editing that I realized that he was talking about the original Destro. His story was the one that he was recounting and everything. So yeah, so that's what happened last episode. And before we get into this one, if you guys have my reaction, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and please consider supporting my Patreon at patreon.com/feelmini. And now let's start this episode. And here we go. Okay. You know, the fighting stuff, it was cool and everything. You know, Shigaraki evolving during battle and all that was cool and everything. But this episode, man, you know, I was hoping in the back of my mind, since Shigaraki's memories were sort of like fragmented and he didn't really, he couldn't seem to remember exactly what happened. You know, I was hoping in the back of my mind that All For One manipulated his memories in some ways to make him believe that it's his fault that his family died and everything. But to see that he actually did is okay. So in their household, their father built this house. The father built the house, you have the wife, and then he said his I believe the grandparents were the mom's parents, because okay, so you have everybody living together in this house. You have the Nana, who's the sister. You have Tenko, of course, the father, the mother, and the grandparents. And the one rule in the house is that you don't talk about becoming heroes. I completely forgot, you know, the fact that Shigaraki was Nana's grandchild, grandchild. That he was her grandchild until Nana showed him the picture. You know, when in a previous episode when Shiguragi was having his flashbacks and everything, there was one particular one where they had Nana in the picture with this little boy, and they were smiling and everything. And for some reason, I thought that the little boy in the picture was Shiguraki, but clearly it wasn't. It was the father. Kotaro, was that his name? I can't remember. It was the father that was in the picture, and he hated heroes, the idea of a hero, because Nana abandoned him to go be a hero, basically. So he has this hatred about heroes, and he didn't want to have anybody talk about being a hero in the house. But then when you're a kid and you see All Might doing, All Might is like a big inspiration to a whole lot of kids. See him do his hero stuff. They want to be like him. They want to be heroes. So it's natural that Tenko wanted to be a hero. But then the father was against any kind of talk about stuff like that. And each time that he talked about a hero, it mentions becoming a hero and everything, the father would punish him, and the adults in the house would do nothing. So that started fostering this anger, this hatred inside of Tenko. And then you have the sister. Each time he's punished, she comes in, she sort of like consoles him. She shows him the picture about how their grandma was a hero, and that one day they're going to be heroes seamless together or something or other like that. And then when the father discovers it, she lies, puts the blame on Tenko. Tenko is punished. And during the flashback, you see him scratching himself, His powers haven't activated yet, but you see it's coming, And they're thinking, it's allergies. That's why he's scratching himself so much. And then when he got punished, after the sister lied, and then he hit him, right? Yeah, the father hit him. He was physical with him. He didn't used to be, he would just take him outside, and then he'll be outside for a long time until he apologizes or something or other like that. I don't know. But in that particular instance, he hit him. And Tenko was outside, and he felt like his father was basically hitting him. The adults in their lives didn't particularly care about him, because if they did, they would stop his father from treating him the way that he was treating him. So he felt this anger. He said like he hated them all, but then he had this dog with him, Mon, I think the dog was called, and he was venting his frustration, his anger with the dog, and I could feel it coming. And then when his powers activated, and then he just the dog crumbles in his arms. And then he was so distraught, like he couldn't believe it. And then the sister comes out. He's like, I'm sorry. The sister probably lied because she was afraid of the father. It happens. Like a personal story of mine. When we were kids, I'm the oldest in my family, among my siblings. And back when we were living in Africa, I got home one day, and then I wasn't home. I was home. I was asleep. And then my father came, and he's like, who stole his money? And I'm like, I didn't steal your money. He was accusing me of stealing the money, but it wasn't me. It was my younger brother. He stole the money. And because my father was so angry and everything, he was afraid. So when my father was accusing me, he didn't say anything. And my father beat me like severely. In Africa, it's not like over here when, people don't beat the kids. In Africa, they will beat you up. Okay? He beat me up severely. I was on my knees. I was crying. I was telling him I didn't do it. He was not believing me, kept beating me. Like, I felt so horrible because I was being punished for something that I did not do. It wasn't until we came here to the US. This happens like more than a decade ago. And then we came here to the US, and one day, I think there was something with my sister. There was a problem with my sister. And my father was just like upset and just started saying these mean things about my sister, and I could not take it. And then I started defending my sister, and I basically threw it in his face that, I did not steal his money way back then, because that stayed with me, And I'm like, we come from a Catholic, we're Catholic, okay? And I have a respect, a love for God. I do not lie when it comes to God. So that day when my father was beating him, I was like, I swear to God, I did not do it. So in my mind, I'm thinking, me swearing to him that my father would believe me, and he did not believe me. So that stayed with me. And it wasn't until, that fight that was happening, like things were coming out, okay? And I threw that in his face. And it was then that my little brother came to me and he apologized, and he said that he was the one that took the money, And I forgave him and all that. He was crying, I love my little brother, man. Like, he's so gentle and he's so kind and he's so giving, So he started crying. He's like, he's sorry. I'm like, it's okay and everything. But that still stayed with me. Even though I forgave him and all that, it still stayed with me. Like, even though I'm talking about it right now, I feel like crying again because I don't know. If you do something, if you are responsible for whatever they're accusing you of, it's different. But if you're not, if you're innocent and then you get punished for something you didn't do, that stays with you. So when Shigaraki was there and you know that he did not do what the father slugged him for, and then the sister comes out and was like about to apologize, she was scared. That's why I remember my little brother, because he was scared. That's why he didn't come out and say that he was the one that stole the money. She was scared. That's why she lied. And then she was coming to apologize. And then she notices the dog that was decayed. And she started, she felt this fear, right? And then she started running away from him. And Shigaraki, in that particular moment, he kept thinking, it didn't quite register to him that it was him that killed the dog. He kept thinking that there was a villain that was coming after them. So he was running after his sister, and then he touched the sister, and then the sister crumbles. The mom and the grandparents come out. The mom sees things. Shigaraki's crushed. He's on the floor. He's decaying the floor. He didn't even touch the mom. And then the mom started decaying as well. But even as she was decaying, she kept running toward her son, which it broke my heart, because she loves her son. After the father slugged him, she went and basically confronted him. He's like, if you're gonna be hitting my children, then this rule of yours is not gonna fly anymore, you know. So she was basically done with what the father was doing, and then she was running toward her son as she was decaying. That then the grandparents were gone. The father comes out, sees all that destruction, and then he just picked up this whatever's for it was about to hit him again. And I'm like, I understand in that moment why Shigaraki, now understanding that he's the one that's doing these things, that he went after his father, intending to kill him, to destroy him, because basically everything that happened was his fault, you know. Seeing these backstories, like when it comes to twice, when it comes to Shigaraki, when it comes to Toga, there's always something that pushes people to become villains, you know. Unless you're born with some kind of chemical imbalance or something is not right in your brain and all of that, that's different. But when you're born, you don't born. You don't born. Oh my goodness, what kind of English is that? You're not born with this mentality that I'm gonna become a bad guy. There's something that pushes you to becoming that. In Shigaraki's case, it's the treatments that he kept receiving from the father, and the fact that the adults in his life were not doing anything about it. That's what pushed him to that point. And then you have All For One basically fostering the hatred and those negative feelings inside of him. He fostered that in a way that he was not gonna be able to let it go, and he's now the person that we know. In Trace's case, he was this normal person that had this normal job, and then he gets fired for something that wasn't his fault. He didn't have any friends. He started making copies of himself, and just it led him into this criminal life and all of that. In Toga's case, her quirk made it so that she's fascinated with blood. It wasn't that it's her fault, it's the quirk that she has. And her family kept basically suppressing that part of her. Maybe if they embraced it and they sort of like, I don't know, give her blood bags or something, I don't know, she won't turn out to want to kill people. I don't know, but there's always something that pushes people to becoming villains. So in Shigaraki's case, I completely understand why he became who he became. I know the backstory is not finished. It's going to continue in the next episode and whatnot. But I can see what pushed him to become who he is. And it's not a good thing that All For One was in his life when he was that young. I feel like if he had someone else in his life, after he went through that traumatic experience, if he has a good person in his life that basically guided him through those emotions and he came out of it like a better person, he could have come out of it a better person. But then it didn't happen that way. All For One is the one that found him and basically molded him to become who he is now. So I don't know. Like, I can't imagine myself killing my family and being okay in my mind, you know, the way that his quirk manifested, you know. No. Chicanto Maquia came. And yeah, this I feel like, yeah, they told us that he killed his family and everything, but it's another thing to have been told about it, and it's another thing to actually watch it happen, you know. Thank you guys for watching, and if you like this reaction, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you want to see my reaction to the next episode, you can do so by checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/feelme, and you can also see the full length for this reaction there as well. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. You show me nothing but hate. You ran me into the ground. What comes around goes around. I mean, you don't hurt me. You don't hurt me. No more.